Guys, welcome back to another Ando Studio tutorial. In today's episode, we are going to learn about how to establish inter-process communication through Messenger. In the previous episode, we already learned about how to create a bound service using Messenger. In that example, the activity will send some commands to the service and the service will do some work based on the command. But here in this example, the activity will send some some commands to the service, and the service will send some reply back to the activity. So inter-process communication means the activity and the service is run in different process. That is called inter-process communication. So here I am going to create a simple Android application that will demonstrate inter-process communication, or IPC. So the first thing, we have to create a new service. So right click the package and create a new Java class. I name the class as my service. Click OK. Extends service. Now override the needed method. Only one method is needed, that is the onBind method. Click OK. Okay, now we have to create a handler for handling the incoming message from the activity. So create a class, name it as incoming handler, and extends handler. Okay, and here you need to override some method called handle message. So the service will get all the message from the activity on this method handle message. Okay, here we have to do some work. For that, here I am going to create some variable private static private final int. That's enough. Private final int. First one is job1 equal to 1. Now declare another variable private final int job2 equal to 2. Okay. Also, for sent back the response to the activity, we need another some variables. Private final int job1 response equal to 3. Now for the second response, private final int job2 response equal to 4. Okay, so now here we have to do the job, the first case. So we have to identify which command is actually sent by the client. So use the what member of the message object. So message.what. Now we have to analyze these values using case. The first case is job1. If it is job1, we have to send some message back to the activity. So before going to do that, here we need to create some variables. First one, create a message object. I name it as MSG. Second one, create some message string value message. Now create a bundle object. Bundle equal to new bundle. Initialize it here. Okay. So in the first case, we have to send some message back to the activity. So initialize the string variable message equal to this is the first message from service. Okay, now we have to send this message back to the activity. So first we have to create a message object. So in inter-process communication, the communication is through by sending some message object. So here I'm going to initialize the message object msg equal to message dot obtain, call the obtain method, pass two argument null, and now you have to specify the response. Here this is the response to job 1, so job 1 response. Okay, now we have the message object. Now we have to put some data into the message object. So you can insert the data in the form of a bundle object. So the first thing, you have to add the message into the bundle object. So add the message into bundle port string. First you have to specify some key, response message. Okay, now you have to pass the message. Here the message is variable message. Okay, now we have to attach this bundle into the message object. So msg dot set data and pass the bundle object. Okay, now we have to send this message back to the activity. So use this argument msg dot reply to dot send and specify the message object msg. You need to put some try catch here. Okay, so now we finished the first job. Now we have to put some break statement here. Okay, now we have to create the second job. Done the second job case, if it is job 2, the same thing again. First create some message. This is second message from service. Second message from service. Now we have to initialize the message object. So initialize the message object, and here it is job 2 response. Okay, and finally we have to put the message into a bundle object. Okay, and then we have to attach the bundle into the message object, and finally send the reply back to the activity. So message msg dot reply to dot send and pass the message object. Here it is msg. Put it in a try catch block, surround with the try catch, put a break statement. Okay, also add a default block. Put some default block. In the case of default, called the superclass method. Okay, so now we have two jobs here, job 1 and job 2. In the job 1 we send some message back to the activity. In job 2 also we send back some message to the activity. Okay, now we have to create an object of messenger. Messenger, I name it as messenger equal to new messenger, new incoming handler. Okay, now send this messenger object to the client from the onBind method. So return messenger. Yeah, you have to call a method called getBinder. Okay, so now we finished the coding on the service. Now we have to add the GUI for the project. So go to the activity main.xml file. Here is a text view is available. Remove that text view, delete it. So here we have to done two job on the service. So we need to add two buttons. So add a first button Again add another button to display the message from service, or add a large text view. Okay, go to the XML version. This is the first button. Name it as get first message. Okay, also add an on click method and do it on click. Name it as get message. Also change the width into match parent. Here also the same thing, change the width into match parent. Here it is get second message. Get second message. Okay, again add the same method and do it on click get message. Okay, and here is the text view. No message from service. Okay, now we finish the GUI of the application. Okay, now go to the main activity.java. Here a lot of unwanted methods are there. Remove all the unwanted methods. There is no need of an options menu. Okay, so the first thing here, you need to put all the final variable on the activity main. On the main activity, I copy all these variables and paste it here because we need all these variables here. Job 1, job 2, job 1 response and job 2 response. Okay, so the first thing we have to create a service connection. So first create an object of service connection. Name it as service connection equal to new service connection. Okay, also here create an instance of messenger. Name it as messenger, and from this on service connected method, here I am going to initialize the messenger object. So messenger equal to new messenger and use the iBinder argument. It is service. Okay, now we have the messenger object. Here you need to put some semicolon. Okay, now we have to add the on click method for the button. Here the method name is get message. Copy this method name, go to main activity and define that method. Public void get message and put some view argument here. Okay, and the first thing we have to identify which button is actually clicked by the user. So here the first button label is get first message. Copy this one, go to main activity. So if create some variable string button text equal to, use the view argument, and here it is a button, so typecast that one into button dot get text, and you need to typecast this one into string. Okay, now we have to check which button is actually clicked by the user. So if button text dot equals, if it is equal to the first button get first message, that is the first button. Now we have to identify the second button, else if button text dot equals, if it is equal to second message get second message, that means this is the second button. Okay, So now here on service connected method we initialize the messenger object. Also here we need some boolean variable to identify the binding status of the service. Boolean is bind equal to false. Initialize this one with the false. Here I'm also initialize the messenger with some null value. Okay, so here the binding is over, so we have to change the boolean value is bind into true. So in some situation the service is killed by the en route system or the service is interrupted. In such case this method will invoke. In such situation we have to reset all the object. So first one we have to reset the messenger object messenger into null, and the second one is bind boolean value into false. Okay, so whenever the activity is stopped we have to unbind the service. So I override the onStop method of the activity. In this method I'm going to unbind the service, unbind service connection, also change is bind into false and messenger into null. Okay, so now we initialize the messenger object and we unbind the service from the activity. Okay, now we have to bind the service. So create an intent object, intent, name it as intent equal to new intent, this comma, our service class is my service dot class. Okay, now bind service, pass the intent object. Second one you have to specify the service connection object, service connection. Final one is a flag context dot use this one bind auto create. Okay, this will bind the service to the activity. Okay, so from the service this activity will get some reply back, so we have to define some handler to handle the reply from the service. So here I'm going to define some handler. So create a class, I name it as response handler. The same thing, extends handler. Okay, and here you need to override the method handle message. Okay, so this one is for handling the reply from the service. Now we have to declare the text view object. We have to display the message using the text view. I name it as text view, and in the onCreate method initialize the text view object. Text view equal to find view by id or dot id dot text view. Okay, and typecast this one into text view. Okay, now we have to handle the reply from the service. So we can handle the reply from the service on this method. Here the same thing, first we have to use a switch case statement. First we have to identify which reply is reply is get from the service. So use the what member. Now analyze the values of this member using cases. So the first case, if it is equal to job1 response, that means the response from the first job. In that case, first thing we have to get the message back from the messenger object, message object. So string message. So here first thing we have to define some variables, string message. Okay, So first thing, we have to get the message from the message object. So message equal to msg dot, first we have to get the bundle, so get data. Now get the string from the bundle, and you have to specify the key, and we have to check the key on the bundle object. Here the key is a response message. Copy this one and put it here. That means this is the first job reply. Now set the message into the text view. So text view dot set text, specify the variable message and break. Okay, this is the first response. Now we have to handle the second response. Now we have to handle the second response. If it is equal to job2 response, in that case the same thing, we get the message from the bundle and set the message on the text view. Okay, now we have to send some commands to the service to do the job. So whenever user click the first button, this method, this if loop will execute, and if the user click the second button, this method will execute. Okay, so in the case of first job, first we have to send some command to the service to do the first job. So here the command is sent in the form of a message object. So we have to create a message object. I name it as msg equal to message dot obtain, specify null, and this is the job1. So use the static variable job1. Okay, and now we have to specify the reply handler. Here the reply handler is the class called response handler. So you have to specify the reply handler on this activity. So msg dot reply to equal to new messenger, new response handler. Okay, now we have to send this message to the service. So use the messenger object, messenger dot send, and the message object is msg, and you have to put this one in a try catch block. Okay, and this is for the first button. Now we have to add for the second button. So I copy this one and put it outside of the if and else, so that I can use the same variable again in if and if else, if. Okay, and copy this, all these code segments, and paste it on the else if, and here it is job2. In the case of job2, again the same reply response, here again the same response handler, and send the message using the messenger object. Okay, and here there are some mistakes. Yeah, here a semicolon is missing. Okay, that is the error. Okay, now we finish almost the coding. Now we finish all the coding. Now we have to add this service into the Android manifest.xml file. So open the Android manifest.xml file, and within the application tag add a new service tag, and here the class name is my service. Okay, so now here it is inter-process communication. So I have to place the service in a separate process. It is very simple. You have to add another attribute called Android process and specify some value called remote. This will tell the Android system to run the service in a separate process. So here the activity and the service is run in two different processes. That's why it is called inter-process communication. Okay, Now we finish all the coding. Now we can check the application. So now I am going to run this application. Okay, now here we have the application available on a virtual device. So here I am going to get the first message from the service. So click the first button. So this is the first message from service. Now try to get the second message. This is the second message from service. So here this is a simple example of inter-process communication, because here the activity and the service is run in a two different process. I hope you understand the concepts. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.